Welcome to Blender. In this video, we're going to be texturing our house using a whole bunch of different techniques, and that way you guys can pick one or multiple and texture your house. So to get started, right now I have all these physics models showing and all the regular models hidden. So since I have it like that, I'm going to hit A and hit M, and I'm going to make a new collection. And the new collection I'm just going to call physics because that's what all these are physics models. And click OK, and that puts them all in their own folder up here. And then I'm going to hit Alt H to unhide all the rest of them, and then Control I to select them all, and it did not. That's all right. So we're going to grab the top one, Shift select the bottom one, and then hit Control I, and that inverts it and selects all the regular models. And then I'm going to hit M and just stick them in the regular scene collection. That way I can hide this physics folder, and what I have left is all the regular models. So to start off, I am going to grab this wall here, and I'm just going to paint it a regular color. So we're going to go to shading, and it's already pink, but we're going to give it a new color. Apparently there's 15 materials that color, so I'm just going to click the little 15, and that's going to change it into its own, which is material 9, and we're going to call it right wall. And since it's that color, that's fine. I'm going to hit Control T on it, and that's going to turn it black. And it gives it a new color here. So I'm going to hit New, and I'm going to change the color from black to like a light bluish. Something, I want more of a pastel-y color. Something like that. And turn off the alpha, and we're going to name this right wall texture. And click OK, and it turns it to blue color. And I'm going to make sure this node is selected and go into texture paint and hit 3 on the keyboard, and we're just going to paint some little flowers on here. So I'm going to select this color and turn it into a green, hit F, make it smaller, and I'm just going to draw a little thing there, something like that. Zoom in on it, and I may actually need to fix a little something. So this is kind of jaggedy, and I don't care for how jaggedy it is, so I'm going to check the UV of it, and there's why. So that, I don't know what that is. I think they're still joined together. They are joined together. That's why. So I'm going to select this face, and I'm just going to re-unwrap it. And that's a little bigger. That'll give us better texture space. And I think that's okay. That's probably that's going to be a lot better than what it was. So we'll go back to shading, or back to texture paint rather. And we're going to sample that color. And then just, whoa, that didn't work at all. And it's upside down. Let's, hold on. Let's rotate that 180. There we go. Now it's right side up. I still need to get rid of that color, so I'm just going to fill it over here. So shading, or not shading, texture paint, and I'm going to change this color. And you can mess with this until you find the color that you want. And that looks okay. So now I'm going to go back to the draw tool, change the color to green. And something like that. And now I can draw on this, and I should get a better resolution. We're going to draw a little stem here and make a little leaf shape and fill that in. I'm not the best painter in the world, but you guys can. I have no digital painting skills at all. Make sure the strength is 100. That way you don't get a gradient going on there. And then I'm going to do the same over here. Make a leaf. And just color it in. Then I'm going to pick another color, like a yellow. And make some little petals. And it's a horrible little flower, but I don't care. And maybe put a little like orange circle in the middle of it. Whoop. So I've got that. And then I'm going to stretch this out to about yay big. And I'm going to grab my little stamp tool and control and left clicked and grab a copy of it. And then I can just stamp it on there. And then, I don't know, maybe we want to, you can make like a wallpaper pattern out of this. But anyhow, I've got some little flowers on there. So that's texture painting. So we've got that painted. Now we need to save the image. So if you look up here, you've got image with a little asterisk beside it. So we're going to click that and go to save as. And make sure you're in the file that you want to save the texture in. It's the right wall texture, so I'm good with that. All this is fine. We're just going to save image. So we have our image saved now. Next part we're going to do, back to layout, is the roof. So I'm going to grab that roof, and that roof. And I don't think that grabbed the inside. I hope it didn't. It probably did, though. And we're just going to join them together. And then I'm going to Control I and hide everything else for now. So I can make sure, okay, this is separated. So we're going to hit L on it, L on that, and that. This one, this one, this one. Make sure we got all the outside edges. Hit P and we're going to separate it by selection. Tab, grab the roof again. And I believe the inside walls, they are. Or the inside of the roof is separate also. So we're just grabbing those parts and we're going to separate those two. And now we just have this. Control I, hide those. And this is just the top of the roof. This part don't even need to be in there, I don't think. Oh, I missed these guys. We don't need these either. Because those are the inside of the house. Should be one right there. Yep, we're going to separate those. Tab, select it, hide it. This piece doesn't even need to be in there because we have a piece hiding that, so we're just going to delete it. Faces, good. This piece don't need to be there either. So X, faces, good. Okay, so we have those parts deleted, and now we're going to throw texture on here, and we're going to do some unwrapping and some fixing some stuff because I know it's broken. So go in edit mode, and first things we're going to do is throw texture on it, just so we can see what's going on while we're messing with stuff. So Celestine provided us with a sexy texture, so object mode here, we have 18 materials sharing this 005, so we're just going to click that little button there, and rename this to roof texture. Grab our principal BSDF and hit Control T to give us our coordinate nodes and stuff. And we're going to open up the texture Celeste gave us. And that's right here. Go into, oh, we already are. It's not showing up because we got a bunch of materials over here that we need to get rid of. So we are going to get rid of these, and that gives us our roof texture material. And it's really big, so we can scale it down by changing our scale here. So we'll just drag that way for now. There's some goofy stuff, and it's right here. So we're going to go into layout to fix that real quick. If you go into layout, go into edit mode, go into vertex select mode, and we need to add some loop cuts here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab this edge up here, and I'm going to right click and hit subdivide, and I'm going to change the number of cuts to 2, and go into vertex select mode, and there's our 2 cuts. So we're going to grab both of those and scale them on the Y till they're closer together, and then we're just going to grab that one and hit J, this one and hit J, and then it's a little crooked, but I don't care. Then we're just going to unwrap the whole thing again and see what happens. So you unwrap and check our texture by clicking the material preview shader and make sure it's straight. And it all looks straight there. It's just all turned the wrong direction, but that's easy to fix. So back into UV editing, and we're just going to give the whole thing R90. And that gets most of it. Nope. These ones are the right direction. All of this stuff is the wrong direction. So we will L, L, and L. Rotate 180. So those are going the right direction. Everything's going the right direction now. We just need to arrange the UVs a little bit. So I'm going to move this guy here. Grab these two, move them over here. Take everything, whoop, hit A for everything and scale it all down just a hair to make it all fit. And I'm actually going to move this one up a little bit so it's not right up against that one. Then back into shading. And we can, this has like a glare on it. To get rid of that glare, you can turn the specular down and turn the roughness up. And that just cleans it all up, makes it pretty. So that's doing the roof with a single texture and fixing all the UV mess that I had and the crooked image because of how I had it unwrapped. So just for some clarification, I'm going to go back into solid mode and go into edit mode. The reason I had crooked UV map there was because I just didn't have enough geometry to keep it straight. So that's why we added this geometry and we tried to keep it kind of quads. But the extra geometry made it so that stuff flows straight. Okay, moving on. So I'm going to go to layout and we're going to add a HDRI in here. I have links to the HDRI in my helpful stuff um, room in my Discord. So if you go into the helpful stuff room in the Discord, you can find the easy HDRI link, and I will. I'm pretty sure I've showed in a video previous how to install that, but you just install it like any other add-on. So I'm gonna hit N. I'm gonna go into rendering and go to my easy HDRI, and I have a link to all my HDR files on here also. So there's a link to my whole folder for HDRIs, and you can get that from the helpful stuff as well. So desktop, textures, HDRI favorites, HDR folder. So you get all these. I have this whole folder in my helpful stuff. So we click accept, and that stuffs all those in there, and then we can hit create world nodes, and it lights up our scene for us, and then we can choose which one we want to use, maybe like that one. That makes it nice and bright. So that's that, and the in panel is where that's at. So if you hit in, it'll pop that out, and then you have all your add-ons on the right here that aren't menu specific. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is the floor of this building because I want to show how to use a PBR texture. And to get PBR textures, there's a ton of websites like you can actually just go to search and type in PBR textures, and it's going to come up with a ton of stuff. There's freepbr.com, there's PBR texture, PBR hub, and there's tons. I have a folder with like 15 of these things on my desktop that I just go to and pick a website to grab one from. But some of them you have to apply for, and some of them you don't. But you can go in here, you can pick a texture, and some of these, like I said, require credits. So let's go Polyhaven. So Polyhaven, I don't think you have to sign up anything. You just go in here, um, and you go to textures, browse textures, but you can just pick one. And once you pick it, you can download it. There's Blender version, so you can get a .blend file. You can download. Whoops, I didn't want to download it, but I guess I did. And then once it's downloaded, you unzip it, and it'll come with all kind of stuff. Uh, each one's different on how you download them, but once you download them, you get your textures. And close all that. So let's unhide this stuff, and I want to do the floor. So hide the door so I can find the floor. Click the floor, and Control I, and hide everything else. And that's all the floor parts. So I want just the top. So I'm going to go to shading. Actually, I'm going to go UV editing. And it's all different pieces, so that's fine. The dark material is one, and the top material is another. I'm just going to separate them for now because I like separating stuff. So I'm going to select the top floor, hit P, selection, and separate it, and I'm just going to hide the bottom because I'm not using it right now. And then under the materials tab, or materials property, I'm going to scroll up and I'm going to get rid of the dark one because I don't need it. Jump into shading, and in order to make this work, we did Control T for a regular image, but for a floor we need a Control Shift T. And then we can jump in here, and I'm going to go to desktop, textures, wood, and I believe the one I like is this one. Yeah. So it opens up when you download it, you'll get all of these textures. So I don't need the ambient occlusion, but I need the color, and I'm just going to select the rest of them. And once you select all of them and click Principled Texture Setup, it makes all the nodes for you. This fancy big mess of stuff. Then you can see the texture on there, and it looks great. And we can control the repeats by just doing that there. And it gives you really nice texture. I mean, look at this. It's really good. And if it's too much lighting, you can change that up and stuff. Once we bake this, it's going to give us the stuff that's not hidden. So it'll have shadows and stuff. We'll have to light the inside, but we'll get to that later. But that's how you make a PBR texture. Okay, so the next way we're going to do this is we're going to do some procedural brick with nodes. So we'll do an Alt-H to unhide everything, and we're going to do the brick on this guy. So select it, Control-I, hide everything, and we have just this. And jump into shading. So we don't need that material on this part because that's the floor, so we'll just minus that off of there, and that leaves us with this. And our color's not going to matter. But to do a brick, I'm going to start with a Control T. So select that, hit Control T, and I just want this for my coordinate nodes and my mapping nodes. The image texture node, we're going to change it. So we're going to hit X on it, and Shift A, texture, brick. And we can take the brick and plug this into the vector, plug the color into base color, and it gives us brick. So we've got our brick texture on here, and I also want it on the stairs. I didn't bring them in, so let me find them. And they are right here, so I'm going to hide those. And it has the brick texture on it. But it also has the other material on it. Why does it stretch so much? We don't need the other material on it, so we'll get rid of that. And I want to go ahead and jump into solid mode. Grab both of these and go ahead and join them together. And go into edit mode. And I want to unwrap this differently because if we go back into material preview, some of our bricks are facing the wrong direction and these aren't right. And it's really big. So the first thing I'm going to do is unwrap this differently. So I'm going to remove some of these seams just so I can have an easier time. So go into edge select mode. Cast either off. Select this edge, and the front edge. And I'm going to right click, clear seams on those because I want all this unwrapped in one big long piece. And that'll take care of that. This one, I want to make sure I have my sides separated. I actually want to, I think, I want it to fold out from here. That should give me the texture going the right way. So I'm going to select this edge, and this edge, and these three edges. And I'm going to clear those also. Whoops. Clear seams. And that should unwrap that okay. So now I'm going to select all this. We'll turn this back on so you can see what happens. And unwrap. And all the textures are run the right way now. Well, they're not, but they are. We're just going to kill that. Hit A. And there's our unwrap. This did not do what I wanted it to do. Why? Can't remember if there's a back face on there. I don't think there is. Oh, I did that backwards. That's why. I want these three edges. Mark seam. 2, 3, and mark seam. And I want to clear the front two edges. I did that backwards. Clear seam. Now A, U, unwrap, and that's what I wanted. And we'll go back into shading. We're going to scale this down. These guys are running the wrong way. The steps are running the right way, it looks like. So we'll go back into UV editing. We will select this guy with L and we'll rotate it 90. Move it over here. And I'm going to grab this and put it here. And I'm going to scale all this. Whoops. Scale all this up to get more texture space. And we're going to fix this later before we bake. So let's check this out. What that does, me unwrapping it like that, is it makes sure our edges go nice and straight and we don't have to do fiddly stuff to fix it. This over here looks pretty good. So now that we have this UV and stuff the way we like it, we can go back into shading, and I want to show you how this brick texture node works. So I'm going to move this up and give us a little better view of it. So the top color is the lighter bricks, and the gray color is the grayer bricks, and there's a gradient in between two randomly dispersed through the bricks. So we can select this one and change it to like a red color, maybe a dark red color. And this one we can make another red color, maybe make it a lighter red color. Something like that. And then you can change the frequency. Maybe you can't. The splash maybe? Don't know what that does. Let me control Z that. You can mess with these things and see what does what. Oh, let's change the offset stuff so you can make square bricks or kind of off bricks. Down here you can change the scale of the bricks to be whatever you want. You can change the mortar size, which If you hold shift, it slows that stuff down. So I can make, big mortar or smaller mortar. Um, and the mortar smoothness, it doesn't change a whole lot at this scale. Um, the bias changes how much gradient there is from 1 to 2. So you can have more darker bricks or more lighter bricks. The brick width will make them longer. The brick row height will give you more rows or less rows. And you can have up and down bricks if you want. Or really thin line bricks. You can do the same thing with the mapping node also, but it's all built in here. So play with these settings how you want, and the mortar color is the color of the mortar. So you can change that. Maybe you want it to be lighter color, grayish. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do some double UV map texturing, which is kind of layering stuff. So I'm going to go back to layout and unhide everything. And we'll do the front of the house. So select on front of the house, Control I, and hide it. Hide everything. I'm going to get, apparently all this stuff's still connected, so we are going to hit Tab and select our, actually, what do we got? Pink. Which pink is that? I think it's that pink. Uh, yeah, it is. So Control I, and I'm just going to separate that out too. And then grab this and hide all it. So we just have our pink front of the house here. And then we can get rid of all their extra materials because we don't need them. When you join stuff together, it adds all the materials of the whole building to every part. So when you separate stuff back out, you have to get rid of it. So jump into UV editing and hit A. And we'll hit 1 to go to the front of the house. And we're getting started here. I'm totally going to break all our UV, so we're going to have to remap everything later to bake it, but it'll be fine. So I'm going to go ahead and re-unwrap this. Actually, I'm not. I'm just going to resize it. So I want to use as much texture space as possible. That way we get a really nice clean texture. That looks pretty good. And I'm going to jump on the internet and I'm going to try to find some public domain siding. Let's see, public domain seamless siding texture. And go to images. How about you? Are you? View image. Looks like it might be alright. We're going to save the image as. And here is fine. Let's name it siding. Save. Close. Shading. Control T because it is a regular texture. Control T. Open. Recent. Actually, there it is. Siding. I'm going to change the repeats on it. Let's change to Y. That doesn't look horrible. I have a favorite node, and my favorite node is RGB curves. So Shift A, search RGB curves. And if you slap this in here, you can do anything you want to a regular texture. It's so great. This is the best node in Blender, if you ask me. I can lighten this up by just adding a point and lighten it up. Now the repeats look a little bad, so I'm going to change the X repeats to less, so they're longer. That looks okay. And then I can go here to like the red, and I can move these around, and I can change this whatever color I want with the red, and you can do the same with the green. Just add a little point and drag it around and change the color. And you can make this thing any color you want by just messing with these. So I kind of like that color, so I'll leave it alone. So we got our house textured a little bit, but I want to use a second UV map to put a transparent texture on this thing, um, just to show how to use two UV maps to texture over top of another texture. So Celestine has sent us a fancy little flower here, so I'm going to open that up, and I'm going to save image as, and I do want it to go in there, and it's a PNG image, and save. So we got our flower from Celestine. Isn't it cute? She made that herself. So the first thing we need to do to get this guy started is actually get another UV map. So we're going to go here to our object data properties, and right here there will be UV maps. Open up UV maps, and I don't know where this come from, but I'm just going to get rid of it because we're only using that top one. So get rid of that one, and we are going to make a new one and rename it uh, Alpha Overlay. Next, we need to copy this stuff. So I'm just going to grab it and Shift D and copy it. And that went a little crazy on me, so move that up. Next thing we need to do is mix these guys together. So I want to mix from my RGB curves to my image texture. So Control Shift, right click, drag from one to the other, and it'll pop that in there, and then we can move this stuff over here. Whoop, grab both of those and move them over here so that everything's nice and pretty. We can click this little drop down, open that up so you see what's going on. We also need a UV map node over here, so we're going to hit Shift A, input UV map, and we're going to plug that into the vector of the mapping node, and we're going to change this little drop down to alpha overlay. Next thing we need to do is actually get our image on here that Celestine made for us, so we're going to kill that and click open, and we'll go over here to building and get our flower. There it is. It looks crazy. It's repeated all over the place, and that's because it's on repeat. So if we hit the little repeat and go to clip, now we just got one flower, and it's crazy big. So we need to turn this on, turn our camera on over here, go to UV editing, uh, hit A, view, and unwrap this thing again. Now we have this, and we can rotate it 180 degrees and scale it to make it look okay. And it looks like I've got some stretching on my UV, or on my shading. So go back to shading, and down here, so we got both our materials. I copied those, so I kept the settings. So I'm going to grab all this and hit 1, so there's only one scale. And now our flower looks normal. Back into UV editing, and now we can see what's going on here. I'm going to turn this overlays off so there's no, so we can just see. And we can scale this as big or as small as we want to make our flower look how we want it. So I'm going to scale it like that, and maybe move him over here. And you just put it wherever you want to put it. I think I want to put it like right there. So we've got our overlaid flower on top of our texture here. Back into shading. So that's all done. But if you look at our house, it looks weird. Our texture's broken over here because we're on the overlay. The the second UV map is specifically to only place this alpha that we did, and it doesn't do anything else. That's all it's for. So if we change this back, it's going to fix our repeats, and our little flower is still going to be the same. So when we bake it, this is what we'll get. Okay, we're going to go ahead and texture the rest of the house. these textures aren't matching up with the front, so I'm going to select these two walls and go into edit mode, and I'm going to start separating out stuff. So I don't want this on here, the windows, so I'm getting rid of the windows. And I also don't want any of the inside walls, so I'm going to go in here and they're all yellow, so I'm going to hit the yellow material and hit select. That selects all the inside walls. And I'm going to hit P by selection. Now if I grab this and the front wall and do a Control I and an H, I'm left with all that, and I got the baseboard here also, so we're going to get rid of the baseboard as well. Those are the pink colors, so I'll just select the pink colors, P selection, grab baseboard and hide those two. Okay, didn't do it on that one, so we'll do select, P selection, tab, and hide the baseboards. So now the only materials we need on these two are just the blue one. So we're going to get rid of all those materials. And that should do us justice. Check the front one out. It's only got one material, so that's good. Make sure you're on the UV map and not the overlay of the front one so that you don't break the texture. So we're going to select these three guys and hit tab, A, U, and unwrap. And that's just going to change our boards. And then go to UV editing, and we're going to match all these up now. So if I select this one and this one, and turn our overlays off real quick. Select this one and this one. We know those two go together. Turn the overlays back on. And we'll take this guy, rotate it 90, and move it down here to line it up. Should line up perfect. And it does. So I'm going to just hit GX and move it this way a little bit because I want some space for my texture to bake. And then if we select the front and hit L on him and rotating 180, he should match up perfect over here. And that should look good. So we'll flip around this side and check it. That's matching up pretty good. I'm going to turn the overlays off. And I'm going to hit A. And I'm just going to scale all this up real big until I like it. Because it's easier that way. And we're going to bake these to one image texture, so it should be fine. And I like it looking like that. So Alt H, unhide everything, check it out. And I think it looks fine. Next thing I want to do is the red parts. Actually, let's fix this. So we're going to select, turn overlays back on, view, and go in edit mode. And it's all gray, so which one is it? This one? Select, yep. And we're just going to separate that out. And grab him and remove all the materials that don't belong. So we just got the gray one on there. And we can actually change the gray one to our roof material. And then go in edit mode, hit A, view, unwrap it, which gives us that. Then we're going to select our roof with it and hit tab and hit A. And we are going to grab this guy and move him and rotating 90, which put him the right direction. And probably scale it up a little. Oh, mess with it a little bit. That should be okay. And like I said, all this stuff is just going to get put on a different UV map, how it is, and it'll be fine. So let's jump into the red parts. That should be all of them. Oh, you two. Oh, got him. Okay. Whoop, whoop, whoop. You and you. Oh, jeez. Am I not hitting shift? There we go. What is this underneath? This underneath I don't want. So I'm going to hit tab and I'm going to select. Actually, it all should be red. So if it ain't red, I'm going to. Oh, I don't want to do that yet. Let's go to face select. I'm going to select those three faces. And this face. And this face. P selection. Tab. These. We'll just select the red ones again. Grab the red ones. Tab A. That looks good. And we are going to remove everything but the red material. And shading, and I'm just going to find some random wood texture that I have. So I'm going to do a Control T. And open. Find some wood. Don't know. Maybe like this. Should be alright. Whoops, I selected something I didn't want to select. Those need to join together. Join together now. Yeah. So once I have my wood material, I still want it red though, so I'm going to use my fancy RGB curves again. Shift A, search RGB curves, and plop it in there. And I'm going to try to turn it red. So let's take the green and go that way with it. Take the blue and go that way with it too. Just mess with these colors until you like it. I want yellow, I want red. More red. Yeah, I'm happy with that. And let's go to UV editing. Hit A. They're all fairly straight. So now I want to do probably the window seals. I think I'm going to use that plain wood texture on there again, but without the RGB curves. So uh, we got to get all these windows selected and joined together and stuff. So that one's separated. That one's separated. That one's connected to all that stuff. So let's start hiding some stuff. So we'll hide this and this and that and that. We're just hiding stuff manually now. Because I just want my windows. And make sure they're all separate. And I want my baseboards for the door. So that's what I want. So now I can select all this and make sure one's the length and Control J them all together. Then I can get rid of these materials off of here. Doesn't matter. And go into shading. Click new. Just because I'm lazy. And Control T. And we're going to throw that wood texture on here also. Which one was it? It was the plain wood. And I like how that looks. Go to UV editing. A, U. I'm going to do a smart view project on this. There we go. Oh, I got my overlays turned off. That's why I can't see what's going on. And the smart UV project actually lays stuff out the way you want it to lay out usually. The grains run a vertical, and most of these are running vertical. So I'm going to do an A, UV pack islands. That's looking pretty good. The grain's a little distorted, so I'm just going to scale it up bigger. And that should do. Back to layout. Okay, let's unhide everything with Alt H. Ignore Alt G. My Control Z at one time just in case, because it'll move stuff if I don't. Yeah, Alt H. There we go. And those all look good. Now we want to get our insides, and I know our insides are all yellow. So I'm just gonna hopefully select the yellow parts and they'll be separated already for me. So that's the yellow parts. Good. Then Control I. Hide it all. We don't need him connected. So we'll tab on that one. Go to face vertical mode. Grab that. Separate it. And then we can hide it. So now we have just our yellow parts. So we can delete up materials that we don't need. Actually, let's just join them together first. Control J. It's easier to remove the materials off of them or join together. There we go. And now I want to color these some kind of color. Let's go in here to shading and hit Control T and G and move these up here. Ooh, not that far. Zoom in, click open. I'm just going to grab a random texture, doesn't matter what. Let's go miscellaneous. Let's see what we got in here. Do a camo. It's gonna be camo inside. There we go. looks like a camo tent. Um, so that's that. I'm gonna turn the specular down on it so it's actually like a camo. Oh, H. The door I'm not gonna mess with yet. Uh, so we'll hide the door. We can go inside here. Look how dark it is. We gotta light the inside too. That's gonna be fun. And we need the blue parts. Well, my overlay's still on. Yep, blue parts. Control I to invert, hide everything. And the inside, we do need everything the way it is. It should be unwrapped fine though. And I'm just going to throw some kind of texture on there. So Control T, move this up. Check the textures. Where's that? There it is. It's got all kind of stuff on it. And right now it's just on the pink material, so we're just going to delete those. Oh, back in object mode. It's pink because I don't have an image, but it's black on here even though it's pink on here because there's no image. If I go here, it'll be pink. See? So, open. And what I got for rock? There's an ivory. I think that's going to look good for a ceiling. And I'll turn the specular down on it. Whoop. Specular down on it. Layout. Alt H. And we got pretty much everything textured. I'm going to do the door completely last because we have to do some special stuff with the door to make it open and close in Second Life properly. And I'm not even going to bother with it yet. But I'm happy with the building the way it's looking right now. The floor is a bit crazy, but we can adjust some of that later too. So one more thing I'm going to do, I'm going to add a bump map to this roof material. So I select a roof, and I've got our roof material here. And I'm going to hit Shift A, vector, bump, and I'm going to put it there, and I'm going to control spaces, drag out of my color and into my height of the bump map and out of the normal and into the normal of the bump map, or the principal BSDF. And that will give us a little height here, and we can change these numbers. So I'm going to turn this up to like, I don't know, 13 or so. And to show you what that's doing, I'll just disconnect it. So it gives it a little bit of depth. Doesn't do a whole lot, but gives a better appearance when we bake it. It'll just look nicer. So that's it for this video. If you guys want to go ahead and knock out all that, and we will work on UVs and baking in the next video. And I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe, and check out my Patreon, and I will see you in the next video.